World leaders are giving a dire warning to Donald Trump about his family and their corrupt development projects. Stay the hell out of our countries and our multilateral organizations if you intend to do corrupt deals. And as it relates to our multilateral organizations, we will ban countries that do corrupt deals with the Trump family that violate the laws of our multilateral organizations. I'll give you an example from this past weekend. The European Union, through the European Union Commission, is issuing a stern warning to Albania about their behavior in doing this corrupt deal to basically give the Sazan Island to Jared Kushner and Ivanka, and this Kushner private equity backed takeover of this ecological gem in Albania, the Sazan Island, to turn it into some resort for the oligarchs, a 10,000 room hotel for billionaires with underground tunnels to do God knows what. And so the European Union just came out with a stern warning to Albania because Albania wants to ascend to become a member of the European Union by 2030. That's like a major goal of Albania. They're doing all of the steps to do that. And the European Union basically said, no, we're not going to be okay with this unless you explain to us what the hell you're doing with the Sazan Islands. You know, previously the Prime Minister of Albania, Edi Rama, was like, the European Union's not upset with us about this. They don't really care. They're not paying that much attention. And frankly, nobody would care about this at all if it wasn't Jared Kushner. Well, the reason that this island is being taken over in the first place is because of the corruption of Kushner and Ivanka and their relationship with Trump and the Qataris and the corrupt deal they're doing with you, Edi Rama. There's a reason why you're going on, 7-8 days in a row of massive protest, 100,000 plus people out there every day marching against the takeover by the Trumps and the Kushners of the Sazan Islands. It's called the Flamingo Revolution, as we've been reporting here. But take a look right here. The European Union is warning Albania over the Kushner-linked project right now. Brussels is keeping a watchful eye on the political unrest unfolding in Albania, cautioning Tirana that its handling of the situation could be costly for its application to join the EU. In other words, your corrupt deals with the Trumps may prevent you from joining the EU, Albania. The European Commission has cautioned Albania against actions that may impact its EU ascension path, Politico reports, amid these massive protests taking place. National protests entered their 7th, now 8th day, as Albanians say, stop this takeover of these Sazan Islands. So specifically, the European Commission is warning that the project could put Albania on a collision course with the EU's environmental rules, jeopardizing its ability to close the Green Chapter 27 and its accession talks. Albania should refrain from actions that could undermine the fulfillment of the closing benchmarks, and we expect the Albanian authorities to act without delay, a European Commission spokesperson told Politico. In the EU ascension process, as part of the closing benchmarks for negotiating Chapter 27 on environment and climate change, Albania is expected to align fully with EU legislation in this area, including the Birds and the Habitats Directive. And this goes on to say that what Kushner and Kushner's fund appears to be doing is violating that by taking over this island, which would be devastating to the flamingos there. We have already expressed our concerns to the Minister of the Environment about the potential shortcomings of this specific project, the Kushner and Ivanka project right there. And as mentioned, this is called the Flamingo Revolution, and Albania's anti-corruption prosecutor SPAK, S-P-A-K, has already opened into an investigation into the controversial changes in the area's protected status and land ownership in 2024. We note that the project is also subject to ongoing SPAC investigations that reportedly extend beyond environmental concerns. In other words, massive corruption. Edi Rama previously told Politico, if I wasn't Jared, they wouldn't give a shit. Albania Prime Minister defends the Kushner resort against protesters, and he just gave an interview this past weekend with Euronews, where he admitted that the land would be transferred away from the Albanians to the investors. We want this to be exclusive. The land goes to the investors. Yeah, that's one of the big problems here. And that's one of the things that you're being warned about by the European Union. Stop these corrupt deals with the Trumps. Here, play this clip.
The aim is to build the most exclusive and the most environmentally precious
But some people take issue with the exclusive too.
Why?
Because it becomes an elite on land that belongs to the Albanian people.
The land belongs to the investors. They have bought it from the privates.
And that's part of
Number
the
one.
issue.
But then Eddie Rama goes, we're the victim of hybrid warfare right now. This is just a people who hate the Trumps. They're engaged in hybrid warfare against them. What are you talking about, hybrid warfare? Here, play this clip.
I have to ask you, of course, about Albania, because over the past days, we've seen this protest on this real estate project that allegedly Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump want to carry through. Are you looking at this protest? Are you taking into account the backlash? What is actually happening?
Albania is in a hybrid war. We are being assaulted. I saw it through media or through reading happening in other countries, in other circumstances, but now I'm seeing it in my country.
By who?
Different forces that brought in the day one when this war started, this hybrid war started. I'm not talking about the protests as a war. I'm talking about hybrid war because the protests are part of it, but are part of it in the sense that who is engaged in this war is using the sentiments of some well-meaning people about environment.
So this is being weaponized as this real estate construction project?
Is being weaponized big time, not as a real estate construction project, is weaponized by the enemies of Albania and of Israel, because there is a narrative in the whole thing that this is about a hidden deal between me and Bibi Netanyahu through Jared Kushner to bring the Palestinians in that part of Albania, which is a total fantasy. But guess what? In this world of manipulation through
But also say some talk about the environment, some talk about a massive island.
I'm telling you, massive island. It's about how deeply the use of social media for pushing false narratives can touch the sentiments. So in the first day, imagine, we saw 5 times more users than the number of users that are the usual ones in the Albanian social media.
So you say these protests are being agitated by forces online?
It's a lot of bots, it's a lot of fake profiles, it's a lot of attacks coming from all over.
Did you know that helping dolphins led to the first essential fatty acid discovery in over 90 years? It's called C15, and it's a total game changer for aging healthier. Fatty 15 co-founder Dr. Stephanie Van Watson discovered C15 while working with the US Navy to improve the health of older dolphins. It turns out C15 is a foundational nutrient that actually strengthens our cells. Without it, we develop cellular fragility syndrome, a deficiency that affects 1 in 3 people worldwide, causing our cells to age faster. Fatty 15 repairs age-related damage and protects your cells from breaking down. It's actually shown to have 3 times more cellular benefits than omega-3. By activating pathways that regulate sleep, mood, and metabolism, it helps you feel better now and stay stronger as you get older. In fact, 70% of customers report deeper sleep, calmer moods, and better energy within just 16 weeks. Because we're all aging, healthy aging needs to start now, and Fatty 15 is the science-backed way to do it. I'm a huge fan of Fatty 15, and I've personally felt the benefits. Fatty 15 was developed to support healthy aging for all, from kids to parents to grandparents. That's why award-winning Fatty 15 is now available as pure capsules, delicious apple mint gummies for teens and adults, and yummy berry blast gummies for kids. Fatty 15 is on a mission to support healthy aging for all, including all ages and stages of life. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Meidas and using code Meidas at checkout. Once again, that's 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Meidas and using code Meidas at checkout.
Here's how Tim Dillon, right-wing podcaster, who's now turned anti-Trump, how he's talking about this as well. Let me share with you what he had to say. Let's play this clip right here.
Jared and Ivanka have decided to buy a nuclear bunker in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea because they know something's coming. They don't only know it's coming, they're making it happen. That's the thing. They're not sitting in the dark. They know that all of this tension eventually boils over. The Henry Nowak stuff, the affordability crisis in America, the food, the cost of oil. In the next 6 months, things are going to skyrocket and make this an unlivable place financially. And your only way out, if you're in America, your only way out, you better hope your kid can shake their ass on a Chinese dancing app for money. Or if you're Spencer Pratt, you better grab the gas can. Good luck.
Here's a brief description as well from CBS Weekend News about the protests in Albania that have exploded now for the 7th. Today would make the 8th straight day. And this is a good description of what's going on there. Let's play it.
Thousands took to the streets of Albania's capital this week with a message for their prime minister.
Albania is not for sale.
They're demanding authorities stop the construction of a $1.4 billion luxury coastal resort backed by Jared Kushner's investment firm, Affinity Partners.
It will be basically another city.
Protesters went to the site of the proposed development today, which sits on the country's Adriatic coast and wildlife reserve, home to seals, nesting sea turtles, and flocks of flamingos.
Now, we know that the Trump regime has been attacking the European Union, attacking NATO, attacking countries over and over again. If you're not Putin or Kim Jong-un or Xi Jinping, Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to use the United States position and standing in the world to attack you. And so, you know, it's notable, right, that Donald Trump says, okay, we're going to not sell Tomahawk missiles to Germany, or we are going to build kill switches in our military equipment, or we're going to make Canada the 51st state, or we're going to take over Greenland. You know, so what these countries, I think, are doing, in addition to forming their own alliances that we've been talking about, and their own multilateral institutions, and mid-powers joining forces against the Trump regime. But also, I think they're finding ways to strike back against the Trump regime. And I think one of the key ways is when the Trump family tries to engage in these corrupt projects. Okay, well, that will prevent you from joining the European Union countries. If you want to be part of our organizations, we are transparent, or we try to be transparent and multilateral and liberal, not like democratic liberal, like liberal democracies, and we're going to stop this corruption. And so, you know, we saw, for example, look at where the Trump regime is trying to do their projects now. They're picking like Albania. Well, now they screwed over Albania getting into the European Union. They want to do their next big tower in the country, in Tbilisi, the city, in the country of Georgia, you know, which is run by a right-wing regime there. And there were massive protests against the right-wing regime there. And so, you know, you have European Union pushing back against this, and you have, you know, other countries. I mean, they wanted to build a tower in Australia, and that was derailed. You know, and so it's an interesting point of where you're seeing the pushback. I just want to say that. Here's what Germany Chancellor Friedrich Merz had to say. We do not defame people who come to work in Germany. We welcome them. We want them to work here, live here, and integrate here. This is our vision. An open, liberal, free country, not isolation, discrimination, and personal denigration. If we hold together in Europe, we are one of the largest and most successful economic spaces in the world. The best years are not behind us. Good years lie ahead. Prime Minister Starmer said it's no exaggeration to say we're living in more dangerous and volatile times than at any time in my life or in your life. The president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, said, wouldn't it be lovely if Canada was the 28th state of the European Union rather than the 51st state of the United States? And also that goes with, if you're allied with the United States, if you're going to do these corrupt projects, then we don't want you in the European Union. We'll take on countries like Canada before Albania. And I think that, and I'll say this too, because I know we have a lot of Albanians who watch the MeidasTouch network, and the Albanian people hate this. That's why they are protesting Edi Rama. They want him to resign. They're sick of this. They're sick of this. Well, there you have it. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.